Thanks for joining us, Lucy. We know that President Vladimir Putin has been all in favor of this unprecedented meeting. What's been his reaction to today's meeting?
Well, yes, President Vladimir Putin has always said he supported these talks. He said beforehand that he hoped for a positive outcome. And many of the statements that we're hearing from Russia today, from Russian politicians and lawmakers, are also sounding pretty optimistic. We've heard from the chair of the International Affairs Committee in Russia's parliament, the State Duma, Leonid Slutsky, calling this a dawn of hope for the Korean Peninsula and saying that he hoped this could be a historical event. We've also heard from a Federation Council member, another lawmaker here in Russia, Vladimir Jabarov, saying that he hoped that this could be one less hotbed of tension in the world. Of course, Russia has a strong interest in North Korea and the Korean Peninsula, not least because it shares a land border with the east of Russia. So many Russians are wanting peace and stability in the Korean Peninsula. Russia also has an economic interest. It wants to do business with North Korea. It has economic projects that it wants to carry out there. So many of the lawmakers today hailing this as a historical event and sounding very positive. On the other hand, there is a little bit of scepticism from some quarters. One MP said that that North Korea wouldn't be able to trust US promises unless it saw real action.
Now, Lucy, in terms of the document that was signed by the two leaders, obviously the contents haven't yet been divulged, but President Trump was quite clear to say that economic sanctions would only be removed once the US was satisfied that denuclearization was taking place. Now, that should take quite a number of years. Do you think Russia will try and put pressure on the US government that if at least the North Korea is cooperating with the process, that economic sanctions should be, withdrawn sooner rather than later? Otherwise, we're talking about another 10, 15 years before anything changes in that economy.
Yes, I think it's very likely that Russia will try to make its voice heard on that point. Russia has been very clear, even before the outcome of today's meeting. Previously, Russia has been clear that it wanted to see the sanctions lifted. It sees this as a step-by-step process, and Russia's foreign minister has said that it shouldn't be left to the end of the denuclearization process, that there should be effectively concessions on both sides. So for each step forward taken by the North Korean government, that there should be steps taken from the US and from the international community as well. So they very much do want the sanctions to be lifted. Partly that's because of their good relationship with the North Korean government. The Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov visited Kim Jong-un in person recently, less than 2 weeks ago, and had a conversation with him there. So that's one reason that Russia is very keen for sanctions to be lifted as support. But also, as I say, because of these economic interests, Russia wants to build a pipeline from north to south. It wants to integrate Russian railways with North Korean railways. It wants to build electricity cables and sell some of its energy. So all of those are reasons why Russia has an interest in North Korea, and the sanctions at the moment are limiting and restricting the amount of business that can be done there.
Nicely explained, Lucy. Thank you very much for your time. That was Lucy Taylor reporting from Moscow.